What started as a routine hearing suddenly turned explosive. Voices raised, accusations flying, and one exchange left the room in total chaos. This is the moment lawmakers lost patience, and it's something the public needs to see.
Secretary Bessent, if I'm not mistaken, you were working in the financial service industry during the late 1980s, correct?
I was.
Thank you. And I'm wondering, do you recall or you're knowledgeable of the Keating 5 scandal back then?
Yes, sir. And I will point out that I was.
I don't want to.
No. I will point out that
limited time. I have limited time.
I identified.
The gentleman is from the secretary. Is the gentleman from New York Times?
So I just want to make sure that everyone knows, who doesn't know, that the Keating 5 scandal involved 5 U.S. senators accused of pressuring the Federal Home Loan Bank Board to expedite and give more consideration to the case of Charles Keating Jr., who ran the California-based Lincoln Savings and Loans. It led to a 14-month investigation unveiling how 5 U.S. senators and staff ended up with more than $1 million in contributions, 4 trips to the Bahamas, and all expenses paid stays at resort hotels. Following the scandal, the industry saw sweeping regulatory changes that was launched by then-President George H.W. Bush. Now, Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you can agree conflicts of interest and improper influence by U.S. elected officials over bank regulators weaken supervisory independence and ultimately impose massive losses on consumers and taxpayers. I think that we can all agree upon that. And as we know, the basic lessons from the post-Keating reforms still applies today when the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, the OCC, is deciding to get a bank charter. I think we can stimulate that. Now, Mr. Bessent, as our nation's treasurer, I'm sure you also know that a foreign-linked investment firm tied to the United Arab Emirates government quietly bought about half of the Trump family's crypto company, World Liberty Financial. And at the very same time, the President of the United States was dealing with that country on foreign policy. Now, Eric Trump, the president's son and co-founder of World Liberty Financial, said, and I quote, "I'm not going to get into who the investors are, but I've got some pretty meaningful investors," end of quote. Lack of transparency. And it didn't end there. When Trump fans bought the tokens, they thought they were getting the deal of a century. But what they didn't know was that only Trump and his sons had the sole power to decide who can sell the token and when. Today, the price of the token has fallen over 50%, and the Trump fans who bought the token are now begging to get out. Now, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. You can see it for yourself on the World Liberty Financial Discussion Forum yourself, Mr. Secretary. So this is no longer just about a shady crypto deal or a possible gift when a foreign-linked investor is putting hundreds of millions of dollars into a company controlled by the president's family, and at the same time, this president is conducting foreign policy with that country. You know what that creates? It creates a national security concern. So I'm not going to ask much of you, Mr. Secretary. I just want to know whether you will commit today to pause and heighten the scrutiny of any bank charter or licensing application at the OCC connected to the World Liberty Financial until all of these conflicts of interest and foreign influence reviews are completed and shared with the United States Congress. All I need to know is, will you halt it and do a complete investigation and scrutiny of this licensing application? All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask is yes or no.
OCC is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman,
I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela
I take that as a no.
On behalf of your donors.
I take that as a no.
On behalf of your donors.
You do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For a $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury.
Into a Venezuelan.
You do not.
Mr. Meeks,
time
has expired.
You cannot erase what you did in 2006.
He's the one that went past your time, Mr. Chairman.
No,
he did not answer my question, and he went past the time.
He had 6 seconds left to try to answer your question, and
it was a yes or no. It was a yes or no answer. I asked him, Willie, no, was that
Gentlemen,
yes
the
or
chair
no?
recognizes
OCC
the
is an
gentleman.
independent
Stop
Mr.
covering
Bessent.
for the president. Stop
Mr.
being his flunky.
And
Gentlemen.
He's talking to me. I'm responding
your
back to him.
2006 trip to Venezuela.
Neither one.
Stop
why don't you
covering
tell
for
the
the president.
about
Don't be a
that?
flunky. Work for the American
Secretary,
people.
Mr. Meeks.
Trip to Venezuela.
Meeks.
Work for the American people.
And maybe
Don't
you're
be
going-
a
maybe you're
cover-up
going to-
for a mob.
Maybe you're going to
As
see your
long as
friend
he talked
Nicholas
his talk.
Maduro
I will.
in
Gentleman is
Brooklyn
not
prison.
recognized. Mr. Bessent.
What Americans just witnessed wasn't a calm policy discussion. It was a confrontation that revealed deep tensions over accountability, transparency, and financial oversight. During a heated hearing, Representative Gregory Meeks began pressing Treasury leadership with a pointed line of questioning, reaching back to the lessons of past financial scandals and asking whether those lessons were being applied today. He referenced the historic fallout from the savings and loan crisis and the political controversy surrounding the Charles Keating scandal, events that forced major reforms under George H.W. Bush. The point wasn't nostalgia. It was warning Americans about what can happen when oversight fails and conflicts of interest are ignored. From there, the focus shifted to modern concerns involving cryptocurrency ventures allegedly connected to political power, raising questions about foreign investment, transparency, and national security implications. Meeks pressed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for a clear commitment. Would scrutiny be heightened? Would the process pause while conflicts were examined? The answer he received, essentially declining to intervene, immediately escalated tensions. Interruptions followed. Crosstalk erupted, and frustration spilled into open confrontation, with accusations about responsibility to the public and heated remarks exchanged across the chamber floor. At one point, the back and forth devolved so sharply that the chair had to step in and restore order, bringing the exchange to a close and moving the hearing forward. For Americans watching, the takeaway isn't just about personalities. It's about larger questions. Who enforces accountability? How independent are regulators? And how seriously are potential conflicts treated when national interests are involved? Moments like this show why congressional oversight exists, not as theater, but as a mechanism meant to probe power, demand answers, and force transparency in full public view. And whether you agree with the tone or not, this exchange made one thing clear. The debate over financial influence, political power, and public trust is far from settled.